Mental stimulation. We're ready to move to the second cogwheel of brain health. And Michael, we changed this from mental exercise a few years ago to mental stimulation. What was that shift?
Well, part of the question is what kind of mental activity are we really talking about? And exercise is a nice parallel when we were using physical exercise to say you have to exercise your brain just as
in the old days, 10 years ago, it was thought that if you explain to people that it's like a muscle and you have to keep it in shape that worked, but the brain isn't a muscle, is it?
No, it's obviously it's billions of individual neurons that are clustered together in individual modules, and that's an important point about. Well, we use stimulation because what you really need to do is activate the neurons. You have to make sure that they are getting the chemical interconnections between them and the electrical connections.
And the technical word is neuroelectrochemical reaction. And by understanding that it's the stimulation, we use the phrase, it's not what you do, it's that you do, and you do it for a period of time to stimulate your brain in a way that's going to make you healthy. And this is an ongoing challenge to find something that is going to stimulate your brain in the best way. The optimal brain healthy stimulation might not be the same for you as anyone else on earth. So we're trying to customize or tailor what it is that will stimulate you. So where do you see that going?
Well, some of the things that we can generalize about, that for mental stimulation, we're always asked, are crosswords good or Sudoku good? And we say, yes, those are very good. The point about that is that Sudoku in particular stimulates one part of the brain.
And crosswords a different part.
Yeah, slightly different. Crosswords has a couple of different things going on, so I think it's a little bit more stimulating than Sudoku. But we mentioned this in this segment on physical exercise, that physial exercise seems to provide benefits for the entire brain. When you're
with blood flow increasing, etc. Go ahead.
BDNF. But when you're doing mental stimulation, the benefit seems to be very targeted to the type of cognitive activity that you're doing.
While you're paying attention to it.
Yeah. So if you're doing Sudoku, it's like you could, if you put yourself in an fMRI machine, you could see one part of the brain getting activated. And because of the way the plastic brain works, if you do an activity, a mental activity over and over again, in that sense it is like a muscle.
But what about the other arm?
Well then, yeah. And that's what's happening with the brain. If you only do one type of mental activity, you're pumping up that part, but you're neglecting the rest of the brain. So you have to find a variety of different type of cognitively stimulating activities. And novelty is one of the...
We're going to go through 3 different things we've developed. And the development of what is stimulating to everybody, it's going to be tailored, but there are 3 basics that we're going to go through. So what's the first one?
Novelty.
Novelty.
Yep.
Something new, something different, something you haven't done before. Is that a good way to summarize it?
Yeah, I think when you've done something over and over again, it becomes routine, and what that means is that the pattern of activation in your brains and in your nerve cells, your neurons and your glial cells, triggers pretty automatically, and each time you reinforce that, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. If you don't provide novelty and change, that one pattern is going to get stronger and stronger, but like we're saying, the rest. So you've got to give it a little variation.
But the part that's getting stronger and stronger uses fewer and fewer resources. And I'll use crosswords as an example. Somebody who loves crossword has done it so many times they can do it in 15 minutes, even the hard ones. We say, do it the rest of your life, but it may not be as... it may not qualify as a really good brain healthy stimulation because you've done it so many times that your pathway has become routine. What we think would happen is it's no longer challenging you enough, so we almost shift it to a later cogwheel that we call stress management. you can't get by without doing that one thing you always like to do, whether it's the jumble in the paper or the crossword or Sudoku. But don't quit, because it is brain healthy, but maybe not for brain stimulation. So the first one is
Novelty.
novel. Second,
Would you take challenge? Is that where you're going?
it is.
Okay.
Challenging came on the scene when we realized that you have to keep a carrot ahead of you, intentionally trying something that's new every so often. And when you find something that you like to do, challenge yourself, not too hard and not too easy. And then the third one that I don't think that really has been publicized enough, and we're going to be putting it up a flagpole, and that's maybe the best mix of saying we could get something that's mentally challenging and it's novel, and we add in purpose. We have a purpose, whether it's a group of people who are putting together a bake sale to raise money, or they're doing something for a good cause. Having a purpose to do it. Building something for a grandson, for a gift, is challenging. It could be novel, but having that purpose is the emotion, it's the tie-in to say I'm doing something that is beyond just the novelty and challenge.
Right, and the emotion is important both from sort of a psychological point of view, but also from a structural point of view, because when you're engaging the limbic system, it's actually a different part of the brain that's being exercised. And this ties into motivation and sustainability. Unless you really believe and have some passion about something, you know, you're not going to want to do it on a sustainable basis. And crossword puzzles are, again, a good example. I love doing crossword puzzles, but
I've seen you do them, and you go into almost a mindful meditation because you thoroughly enjoy it, and that's where I think you're getting in the zone of something you love to do. And I'm going to wind up this section by explaining that if you're doing something that you just love to do, then that's mentally stimulating your brain. So don't get caught up thinking you have to learn a new language because some study came out, unless you love learning a new language. So find something that you love to do that you lose track of time. And that's almost my thermometer to see whether or not that's something that might benefit you as you age and need to keep engaged in mental stimulation.
But you lose track of time because you're so engaged in the challenge and the novelty. Be careful that you're not losing time and because it's so easy that you're not pushing yourself a little bit.
Exactly. Okay.